Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hi everyone. Assalamualaikum to my Muslim student. Let's continue with our next topic, measurement for the building services. We have measurement for the sanitation wastewater system. This is the third level of the measurement after we learn about sanitary fitting, and then we have the sources of the cold water installation. Okay, cold water installation. So the sources of the cold water will go to the sanitary fitting, where the water from the sanitary fitting will go to the system called as sanitation wastewater system. I'm sure this one had been covered in the building services topic. So understanding the system will be essential for you to start the measurement for the sanitation wastewater system, right? Before we go for the detail, definitely you have to understand some of the terminology. After you understand the terminology, then you must be able to extract the item required to be measured. You have to refer to the drawing, identify the components, identify the system, then it will be easier for you to prepare taking off list. Okay, prepare taking off list. Then after that, we have to identify the clauses, understand the measurement rule in which you are able to prepare the taking off quantities. Then after that, definitely all the quantities must be able to be converted to B, BQ, bills of quantities. Okay. Now let's we look at the review of the type of the water available in the sanitation wastewater system. Okay, so if you look at the first one we have the wastewater. The wastewater, look at the word waste, and the second one we have the salt. Okay, number one, the water that is not contaminated by salt water. Okay, where the salt water normally come from, WC, or it is not included with the effluent. Okay, so effluent here are referring to the liquid waste or maybe the sewage. Okay, the solid sewage available in the WC. That is the meaning of wastewater. Okay, but salt water normally contaminated or polluted with the solid waste or the trade effluent that normally come from WC. I always use the word WC for you to easily understand. Whatever come from WC contaminated with urine, whatever not come from WC is not contaminated with urine, so it not consists of solid waste or sewage or any effluent. Okay, that is how you define these two, and that is how you differentiate between these two type of water. Why? Because this water will affect the way you call the way you call the type of the pipe available for your measurement. Okay, look at this example, the brown color pipe. Okay, for this pipe, you can see that they are main pipe, and then definitely for all this pipe, you have to measure the pipe fitting. So you can see that the bend are there. Then here we have the access chamber used to clear all the blockage. Then before you go to another access chamber, you have another main pipe. Sometimes you did not see all this because this one is not being shown in sanitation wastewater, because what you have to measure, you have to stop here. This is the level of your measurement. Okay, this is the boundary or limitation of your measurement. We normally stop at the pipe before the main access of the main access point. We call this one as access point. Main hole or access chamber are considered as access point. Okay, now if you look at the second one, this is where you have the hopper. The bend has to be measured, the gully trap has to be measured. So the pipe until before the inspection chamber or manhole, you have to stop. Okay, so I'll put there the red color to show the boundary of or the limitation of the measurement, right? Okay, before we go for the detail, let's review some of the system available in the sanitation wastewater system. You can see the photo available here. They are waste tag and they are source tag. Okay, and then you also will see the word vent. Every time we look at the sanitation wastewater system, you will see that the vent are there. This is normally to remove all the possible odors that actually come from the pipe itself. Okay, and then this pipe normally pass through the ceiling area, and it must go after the roof level, right? Now let's we look at the example of the photo here before we go to the definition. If you look at the photo that had been highlighted in the black color, the stack here are referring to the sanitation system. Then you can see all the sanitary fittings are here. This is the example for the kitchen sink. Then we have the bathtub. Then here you can see the WC. So where are the water from this sanitary fitting go? Okay, the water from the kitchen sink will go down. The water from the kitchen sink from another story will go down, where at the end it will go to the main pipe. Okay, this is the example for the high-rise building or maybe multiple building, multiple story building. From this particular area, you can see the water from the bathtub together with the water from WC will go to another system. Okay, in this case, you can see that the water that is not contaminated with urine, which one is not contaminated with urine? The bathtub. WC normally contaminated with urine. So even though one is contaminated, another one is not, but because the system combine both, the whole system for this pipe will be source type. Okay, so what does it mean? The source type normally carry the water that already contaminated with urine. Okay, the water that is come from WC, even though another sources also not contaminated with urine. Now, if you look at on the left hand side, the waste type. The waste type are the water that is not contaminated with urine, will normally come from kitchen sink, or maybe sometimes the floor trap at the floor area, or maybe sometimes you can see from the rainwater outside. Okay, so the difference between the saw pipe and waste pipe based on this photo can be seen as the wastewater are maybe the big family, but the source that are normally contaminated with urine. Now let's look at the definition. The saw pipe normally a pipe not being a drain which conveys the saw water either alone or together with the wastewater or maybe together with the rainwater or both. Okay, but you can see the word that this pipe is actually convey the saltwater, so you need to know what is saltwater also. Now on the right hand side, the definition of the waste pipe, the pipe that conveys the wastewater, so you need to know what is wastewater, either alone or together with the rainwater. So inside the waste pipe there is no water, that is come from WC or from the soil. Okay, now look at the example for the photo in the second one. Okay, for the second one, the big size here of the pipe is known as the vent pipe. All this pipe has to be measured separately. Remember the principle that we have learned before. If the size of the pipe is different and if the type of the pipe is different, you have to measure separately. So when we know that this is salt pipe, this is waste pipe, definitely you have to measure separately. Okay, so vent pipe is one. Then you can see the water here come from basin. This is basin. This one from WC. Okay, and then you have the pipe that is actually go to the main pipe. Okay, from this one until below, this is known as the main pipe that is actually used to convey the water from wash hand basin and also from the WC. Okay, this is the example of the single saw and waste type system where everything will go together in one stack, in one pipe system or one main pipe system. Another branch of the sources of the water come from kitchen sink. This one from washing machine. Okay, so it is actually seems like every sources of the water will go to one main pipe, where at the end it will go to the main sources of the building or the main sources of the pipe that will go to the nearest um, sanitation system that is actually belong to the local authority, where what you have to understand here is what is the name of the pipe, what is the name of the main pipe, in which we have to measure separately. Okay, now if you look at the next example, this is the example, actually the same thing as the second one, but the photo shown in elevation or in 3D where you did not see, sorry, in 2D where you did not see in detail where this one come from, but you can see only by reading, and also the detail of the pipe size have been given. Okay, look at this example. 32 mm outlet from wash hand basin. So you can see the size of the pipe is normally bigger as compared to the size of the pipe for the cold water, because it's used to receive a lot of water in one time. Okay, and then from the bath, it can be from the bathtub, it can be from the bathroom. So you can see here 40 mm and 32 mm. So principally, this item and this pipe has to be measured separately. One because of the type of the pipe, another one is because the size. Okay, next one on the left hand side, the vent pipe is definitely bigger compared to the rest, 100 mm. You can see this one also almost similar like the pipe for the rainwater, the white color pipe outside the building that normally can be seen clearly. And then the 100 mm outlet from the WC, this is also big sizes because a lot of water that required to be received in one time when you flush. Then the main pipe here also using 100 mm saw pipe. Okay, 100 mm vertical saw and vent pipe. Okay, so this one has to be measured separately because starting from here, this is known as the main pipe. On the top of here, we call this one as the vent pipe. Okay, then after that, we have underground flow water drain. This one, once it go inside the building, okay, you see the word underground over there. You have to measure this one again separately because this pipe is not located same at the same area or with the same method as what you can see on the top of the building. Okay, this is the level in which you have to measure underground. This is the level normally you can see concealed in the brick wall. Okay, so understanding this system is essential for you to start with the measurement for the pipe work, right? Okay, look at another terminology available for understanding the type of the pipe. The vent pipe is normally open to the external air, and then this type of the pipe must be installed at the highest point. Even from the drawing, this is the example of the schematic drawing, the engineer will normally show where is the vent pipe. As what I told you before, the vent pipe normally must be installed beyond the roof level. Okay, and then this is the example. You can see the vent pipe. This is another example of the vent pipe. Okay, this is also the vent pipe. Okay, and then if you ask me whether the vent pipe has to be measured together with the source type, the answer is no. Why? Because even though it is actually come from the same level, but the vent pipe are considered as the pipe that is not carry anything. So when it is not used to carry anything other than to give ventilation, we cannot measure this one together, even though it is in one continuous run or one continuous length of the pipe. Okay, look at the purpose of the vent pipe. It is used to ventilate the drainage system either by connection to the drain or to the saw pipe and does not convey any saw water. So the keyword here is the pipe that is not used to convey any water has to be measured separately, right? Okay. Now we look at another terminology that is also relevant to the measurement. We call this one as the fitting to the sanitation and wastewater system. One of the example that we have is gully trap. So this is the review from what you have learned before in the building services. We have to use the gully trap. Normally you can see this gully trap before the pipe go to the access chamber or before the pipe go to the nearest access point or the manhole. Sometimes you can see the gully trap is installed when they are bent or when they are changing of the direction for the pipe. Okay, it is normally provided outside the building before connected to the external sewerage line. So external sewerage line here are referring to access point, that is normally access chamber or manhole. Okay, the gully trap also collect wastewater from the kitchen sink, the wash hand basin, the bath, and also the wash area. They are connected between all these main pipe. So before you go to the nearest before you go to the nearest manhole, you can see the gully trap are there. Okay, these are all the example of the these are the example of the gully trap. And then under the fitting also, we have to consider the type of the trap available. Okay, you can also review from any website to review the example of the trap available. Okay, this is the example where the gully trap can be at the bottom. Compliant downpipe and non-compliant downpipe, where you can see that the trap are there. Okay, this is another example of the gully port. Let's review the system available in the sanitation wastewater. What you have learned before in building services, we have single stack, we have one pipe, two pipe, and we have also the modification system from the three systems that you have on the top. Okay, on the left hand side, we have two pipe system where it consists of two main pipe. On the left hand side, this is considered as one, this is another one. This is normally available in the big size of the building, the school, okay, and then where we have the large capacity of the waste and the salt water to be conveyed to the pipe. Okay, on the right hand side, this is simple system that consists of single step system where everything will go to one main point, salt and waste pipe come together. Okay, so every single component or every single water, either it is contaminated from urine or not contaminated from urine, where the basin and bath normally not contaminated with urine, will go to the main outlet of the system that is known as single step system. These two are the basic type of the system that are available in sanitation wastewater. When you actually understand this system, you may be able to identify at least the pipe that required to be measured, and the measurement is number one, understanding the type of the pipe. So this one can be vent pipe. Number two, you have the waste pipe. Then number three, we have the salt pipe. Okay, from this particular type of the pipe, as what we have learned before, if the vent pipe here is installed at the ceiling area, or this one had been installed at the brick wall, we call this one as conceal in the brick wall, these two has to be measured separately. Same goes to the waste pipe. We have the waste pipe that is actually embedded in the floor slab, this one, okay, embedded in the floor slab, the one that I highlighted in the red color. And then we also have the waste pipe that is actually coming from the basin, required to be concealed in the brick wall first, concealed and embedded in the floor slab. These two have to be measured separately. Okay, saw pipe, normally you can see this one concealed in the brick wall. So this one also has to be measured separately. When you understand this type of the pipe, you will know that how many items that required to be measured according to the type of the pipe. Okay, so here I put the type and how the pipe is going to be installed. Number two, when you consider all this pipe, if let's say we have the waste pipe that having two different sizes, definitely you have to measure separately. Maybe the waste pipe here, they are 32 mm and they are also 100 mm. 100 mm normally come from WC, 32 mm normally come from basin or kitchen sink. Okay, so you have to measure this one separately. Look at the fundamental of writing the description for the pipe work. So you have to review this one before we understand how the whole measurement system should be carried out. Okay. Now, this is another example where you can see the same sketches available in the main title for this particular topic. Okay, if you look at the example here, this is the vent pipe, the stack or the vent pipe. So this is one item. The vent pipe normally has to install, you can see here, after they pass through the vertical area. So it must be installed normally beyond the roof level. Normally beyond the roof level, here is given either maybe 400 mm from the roof level or maybe 600 mm, and it can be lesser or it can be more depending on the detail. Then you can see here there is only one main pipe, so this one has to be measured under different items. So I put here 2. You can see here there are main pipe that is below this particular sanitary fitting, so 3 items. Okay, and then all this pipe combine between WC and the water from basin or the bathroom. Bath, we call this one as bathtub. This is from the basin. Okay, so this pipe is known as waste pipe. So item number 3. This one is known as soil pipe. Why? Because this pipe will combine with the water from saltwater and wastewater. So you cannot measure together. Right. Number 2 is already there. Then this pipe has to be measured separately. 5, because the way the pipe is going to be laid normally embedded in the slab, and then part of this one will be laid in trench underneath the either the apron slab, or maybe underneath the ground floor slab, or maybe in the trench only. So that one you have to check in the layout plan later as well. Okay, that is how you identify the item that you have to measure. What you may not be able to be seen here is the part that is come from the that is the piping that is actually coming um, from the brick wall. Okay, I give you one example. Let's say this is the wall. Okay, this is the wall. This is another wall. Here you can see the wash hand basin. Okay, basin. Then the water from the wash hand basin will go to the S-trap, right? Okay, will go to the S-trap. And then from the S-trap, it is normally will go to the brick wall vertically. Okay, so this one vertical pipe. This pipe also known as the waste pipe, and then you can see maybe in this room we have the floor trap. Before it go to the floor trap, this one vertical pipe coming from the basin is not being seen. You cannot see that one. You may not be able to see this item as well in the section view. So this one you have to measure as well. Okay, because this pipe is considered as the waste pipe, and then the method of the installation is concealed in the brick wall, then only they will go to the pipe will go to the nearest floor trap. Okay, so let's say you have WC here. WC normally concealed inside the tile or inside the floor areas straight away, so you did not have the item that need to be installed. You don't have the pipe that need to be installed at the wall area. So this one also will go directly to the floor trap. Okay, so let's say I put this one as C. Both C pipe can be seen in the schematic drawing. Okay, but A, this one, cannot be seen. So that one normally the student missing, consider as missing item that student forget to measure. Okay, remember C normally can be seen in the schematic drawing or from the elevation view, but A normally forget to be measured. Okay, and then if you look at, I go back to the system as well. Okay, if you look at this one, sanitary fuels, this one is belong to the local authority. So this one is not being covered in our measurement for the building works. Okay, so we will normally go to the trap and then to the nearest main pipe or public sewer. Okay, public sewer here are referring to the first manhole. Okay, first manhole, let's say we have one manhole, and then it will stop there. First manhole within the boundary of the building, and then from manhole to the nearest public sewer, that one will be covered in another measurement. Okay, so if I summarize the system at this point of view, you have to understand that the boundary of the measurement or the limitation of the measurement come from after sanitary fitting until the nearest main hole. Okay, until I put here before the nearest main hole. Why before the nearest main hole? Because main hole is not required to be measured. You only have to measure the pipe until before the first main hole or before the main hole for the boundary of the building. That will be the limitation of the measurement under sanitation wastewater system. We will cover another topic for the measurement of the underground system from manhole to another manhole in our topic for sewerage system. Okay, so remember that. Now let's look at the limitation of the measurement for this particular topic. The limitation of the measurement actually come from the component after the WC. You can see here WC connector is part of the sanitary fitting, so we did not measure this one. Normally after the WC you have the trap, okay, either they are S trap or P trap. That is the starting point of your measurement until any pipe that you have before the first manhole. Okay, so if you can see here, the soil pipe that is installed embedded in the floor slab, you have to measure. Then after that you can see that there are bands available in another component as well. So this is under pipe fitting. Here there are also a main pipe. Also you have to measure. As long as your measurement is until before the main hole, that is the limitation of the measurement. Or else if you look at the drawing, they say this is the main hole, this is the toilet. Okay, this is, let's say, the toilet from the floor trap. Okay, from the floor trap, you can see the pipe go to the nearest manhole. So where is the stop point for this particular measurement? If I change the color, you can see that the measurement will stop here with the blue color. Okay, with this blue color, this one will be measured under sewerage system. Okay, so when we measure this pipe, we have to measure the pipe until the pipe before the manhole is either internal of the building or is either external of the building. You have to check from the layout plan. Okay, you have to check from the plan view and ground floor plan or maybe first floor plan to see the limitation of your measurement as well. Okay, so you can see on the right hand side the limit of the measurement purposes, either saw pipe, the waste pipe, including the vent pipe, must started from the beginning of the sanitary fitting, actually after the sanitary fitting, until before the first or the manhole itself. Okay, when I put first or manhole means sometimes the building only have one manhole, so before the first manhole. But let's say if the building has more than one manhole, that means it's before any manhole that you have. Okay, then after that you have to combine. Okay, this is the example for the layout plan where you can see there are different sizes of the pipe available, different type of the pipe also available from one of the single story dwelling or single story house. Okay, how you would like to identify the item that required to be measured? Remember, we have to measure the pipe work. Before we go to the actual principle, at least from this overview, you are able to identify based on different sizes, different material, different type, and different location and so on. So let's say I would like you to identify based on the size. So you can see here 40 mm. This is number 1. Okay, 32 mm. This is number 2. Let's say here we identify based on the size first. Okay, then you can also see 100 mm. So this is already 3 different sizes of the pipe. Then we also have the 100 mm for water, so on the right hand side. Okay, so 3 main items based on the size. Number 2, let's say I would like you to identify based on type of the pipe. So you can see here, this is the waste pipe, 40 mm. Okay, so 40 mm here and 40 mm here are similar. 40 mm waste pipe, this is 40 mm waste pipe. So still under same item. Okay, and then you can see here 100 mm, even though the size is different, the size is similar, but this size of the pipe is actually go to underground for water drain. So this one will go directly to the drain, but this 100 mm saw outlet will go to WC, saw outlet actually come from WC trap. So this one has to be measured separately. Okay, and then here there is no information about the material used for the pipe, so it can be the same type of the pipe, PVC, or the PVC pipe that is normally in white color. Then here they are one main pipe that is supposed to be available. Okay, And then number 3, let's say we have to identify based on the location. Location here means how you would like to measure, how you would like to install location. From the bath trap or from the bathtub, normally you can see the water will embedded in the floor slab. Okay, from the wash hand basin, there are two. One is embedded, another one is in the wall. Because the basin is installed at the wall area, so you need to have the pipe that is actually come from basin. Let's say this is your basin. Okay, so the pipe will go down. You have the you have the waste pipe. This is the trap. Then you have the pipe here, right? Then only you go to the nearest floor trap. So this is what I did mention. Okay, what I highlighted here is the pipe that you have to measure concealed in the brick wall. So there are two items that you have to measure for the pipe after the basin. From the WC, we have the measurement embedded in the floor slab. So when you identify this, you are able to arrange your answer properly when you prepare the taking off list, right? From the kitchen sink also, normally you can see the pipe is embedded in the slab and also in the wall, embedded in the slab. Why it is embedded in the slab? Because from the kitchen sink, normally it will go to the nearest public sewer, it will go to the nearest floor trap. Or sometimes you can see it will go directly to the nearest manhole that are available. Okay, but normally they are trapped in between or the gully trap in between. So you have to double check this layout plan with the schematic drawing and also with the other specification available. Okay. Now, if you look at your drawing, you can review your drawing now. We are going to refer to the bin 2 drawing. Number 1, the layout plan. On the left hand side, this is the layout plan. You can see the label there is ground floor plan. Okay, on the right hand side here, this is the drawing that shown the schematic drawing. All the information of the size of the pipe, how the system looks like are there. Okay, from this layout plan, we can see the limitation of our measurement. Okay, the limitation of the measurement here, this is one pipe. This is the another one main pipe where you can see the based on the numbers of manhole. Okay, when I highlight the manhole here it is actually this manhole. Can I see where is the highlight? Okay, this is the manhole 1 and manhole 1. Here because there are similar numbers of the manhole, so you can mark based on grid line B. This is manhole number 1, this is manhole number 2. Okay, for manhole number 1 near to the kitchen area, you can see here manhole number 2 is actually come from bathroom number 3. So if you look at bathroom number 3, this is manhole number 2. So please mark this one in your drawing as well. This is manhole number 1. Okay, because the mark are similar, so to make it easily understand for us, we have to measure for these two type of manhole. Okay, for these two type of the point before this particular manhole. Okay, from this layout plan, you can see that the saw pipe and the waste pipe will go to the one main pipe. We have two pipe system in this particular drawing. How do you know that there are two pipe system? You can see that there are two stack. Okay, this one you can see there are two stack. One main stack and another one main stack. Okay, so there are two pipe system. This is quite big size of the building. One bungalow, 2-story building. Okay, you can see here there are first floor level, ground floor level, apron level means what? Corridor outside the building, and then this is the ground level means original ground level. Then you have to identify the trench excavation depth. Then only you know how the pipe is going to be installed until to the nearest manhole. Okay. Now, if you look at from this drawing, you can see in detail. You can also refer to your studio drawing how we would like to measure based on the layout plan. Okay, originally, if you remember, Based on our first main principle, we have to look at the location. This is what have been shown under Q.3. So location here is either internal or external. If we identify based on the boundary of the building, we should know that this is the boundary. Okay, this is the boundary. That means here consider as internal. This is also internal, and then on the left hand side is considered as external installation. This is external installation. This is also external installation. Okay, from this particular drawing, let's say we would like to identify the item that you have to measure from this layout plan before we refer to the schematic drawing. Okay, for the internal, let's say we get the overview on how to measure the item for the internal part. You can see that the sources of the pipe come from WC. So you can see here WC. Okay, so normally from the WC, the pipe is known as the saw pipe because this pipe is not shared with anyone. Okay, and then you can see here there is one floor trap at the kitchen area. So this pipe will go directly to the nearest public or manhole. Okay, so this is known as waste pipe. Okay, the size of the pipe you can check later in the schematic drawing. And then you can see here at the wet kitchen we have kitchen sink. So from the kitchen sink, this is waste pipe. That is how you would like to measure. Okay, let's say we would like to identify the item that we have to measure. So I put here dash. We have the waste pipe. We also have the saw pipe from the WC, waste pipe and saw pipe in the WC. Then when we go to see how the item is going to be installed, then you can break down another item. For example, for the waste pipe from the kitchen sink, definitely you have to measure conceal in the brick wall. Okay, the waste pipe from the floor trap, you have to measure embedded in floor slab. Okay, so for this one, for the waste pipe, we can see that there are basically two main items to be measured. For the waste pipe, we have basically three. Okay, one, two, and another one here embedded in floor strap from the kitchen sink. Okay, for this particular saw pipe, this one come from WC. So we have to check in our schematic drawing what is the size of the pipe. Then you can break down to the item to be measured. Same goes to the second one, the pipe from bathroom 3. You can see that they are outlet from WC. So this one will be considered as the saw pipe. So I put here SP. Okay, the pipe come from the floor trap. This is the floor trap, the small one. It is actually come from bathroom number 3. Okay, so very short line here until the boundary of the building means the thickness of the wall. So that one is embedded in floor slab. Okay, and then here this is already outside, so we did not cover. That means for the main hole number 2 in our, because this is what we identified earlier, main hole number 2, you can see that there are only two main sources of point. Okay, why? Because the water from the basin will go to the nearest floor trap. Okay, so we have the waste pipe from the WC. Sorry, we have the waste pipe from the basin. So here, if I break down, waste pipe from the basin, and then here that means there are two type of the pipe in this bathroom number 3. Once you see that they are basin, kitchen sink, they are two main items to be measured. One is concealed in the brick wall, another one is embedded in floor slab. Okay, both of these are waste pipe. Then we have another pipe that is saw pipe from the WC. So this one will be considered as embedded in the floor slab. If you see that there are two similar items at the end, so you can arrange these two to be continuous item where you can use detour, okay, in your taking off list or in your BQ later, right? That is how basically you identify the item to be measured. When we prepare this item, we also have to double check in the schematic drawing. Let's say we refer to the schematic drawing. Okay, look at this schematic drawing. We identify the buff tree as manhole number 2. So you should know that this one is manhole number 2. Okay, the kitchen sink here, earlier we identified this one as manhole number 1. Can you see that? That is the flow. Okay, in order for you to know whether you have to measure the soil pipe and the waste pipe um, in this with the same item or not, you have to check how this pipe is going to be installed. Okay, let's say I go to the manhole number 1 first. From manhole number 1, you can see here, this is the vertical item concealed in the brick wall. Then here, the small one, this is embedded in floor slab. Okay, let's say the size of the pipe from the kitchen sink, wet kitchen and the kitchen area are similar. So that means these two you can measure together. Okay, provided that the height of the basin and the kitchen from the floor level is similar. So you need to check what is the height of the basin and kitchen sink installation is. Okay, the height from floor level, because we need to know the height of the pipe. Is and then there is the question maybe raised by the student whether you need to deduct the height of the pipe fitting. The answer is no, because the rule of measurement under pipe work is you have to measure beyond the pipe fitting. So there is no deduction required to be done if there are pipe fitting to be installed in between. So you have to take the whole from floor level, then you have to measure in the conceal in the brick wall. Okay, then if you look at here, because there is no other information, so we shall assume that this one in the floor slab also 32 mm diameter. Then you can times 3 because they are, sorry, you can times 2 because at the kitchen there is one and another one is at the basin. Okay, from the WC, this is one independent soil pipe. So definitely this item you have to measure separately. One, because the pipe is known as the soil pipe. Another one is because the installation is different from the basin. Basin, you have 2 items, but for the WC, you have only 1 item. Soil pipe embedded in floor slab. Okay, now we discuss based on the ground level, but then at the end, you have to check the detail in the first floor level, then we have to measure. From this drawing also, you can see that the vent pipe are there. This is the vent pipe. So don't forget to consider this one in your measurement. The type of the pipe is different. The size of the vent pipe is given as 100 because you can see here this is 100. So definitely this one also can be assumed as the same thing for the soil and waste pipe. Then you can see also this information for the vent pipe. Since this pipe is continuous, so the size of the vent pipe and the soil pipe also will be similar. Okay, then after that, of course, we have to double check from the layout plan if the pipe is installed beyond the boundary of the building, means outside, means you have to measure separately. Okay. Now let's go to the review of the principle of the measurement for the pipe work. As what we discussed before in our previous topic, the pipe work has to be measured separately according to the type. So this one are referring to the soil pipe, the waste pipe, and then we have the vent pipe. Okay, based on the nominal size, we have 32 mm, you can see sometimes 50 mm, 100 mm. Method of jointing, normally this one can be written as the heading. If they are using PVC, that means there is one standard jointing method. And how to install, this is what I did mention earlier, either concealed in the brick wall or maybe embedded in the floor slab or maybe laid in trench. Laid in trench normally when you go outside the boundary of the building, or maybe underneath the apron slab, or after the apron slab we just put laid in trench. Okay, there are few possible material that are available, so you have to check in the drawing whether UPVC or maybe PVC or maybe cast iron. Okay, so according to the clause Q.8.4, these are the category of the item. These are the components that you have to consider, specification that you have to check before you prepare taking off list. Okay, now look at this example of the description. This is the example for the cast iron, medium grade, and then you have to write down British Standard wire, and then what are the type of the jointing. Cast iron normally using ring joint. Okay, ring joint means they are ring, and then there are two types of the pipe that is actually connected together. How you would like to identify the item to be measured, as what we identified earlier, we have to identify the size of the pipe, the type of the pipe, and how to install. Okay, so if this one is fixed, we have to mention how the fixing method is being carried out using the bracket, and the screw, and so on. This is another example, but this one fixed at the ceiling area, or we can put there fixed at the ceiling joist. Okay, fixed at the ceiling joist or fixed at the ceiling area has to be stated clearly. If it is fixed at the ceiling using the hanger, you have to write down in the description. Okay, but if this one fixed with the hanger, we have to put in the bracket MS, because the hanger required to be measured separately. The explanation on the right hand side to show you the possibility of the item to be measured, as what have been discussed before. Look at this one. Normally at the ground level, soil and waste pipe are laid in trench. This is actually meaning for the external installation. Okay, while at the upper floor level, the pipe are fixed using the hanger and can be concealed in the brick wall and can be embedded in the floor slab. This is only example. Okay, vertical main pipe or the stack is normally located at the service ducting. This is applicable for the commercial building. For the residential houses, you can see it is just concealed in the brick wall, where sometimes if that one can be seen, then you can see it is fixed at the brick wall. Okay, using the bracket. Either one, you have to double check. If the pipe is required to be laid in the trench, we have to identify the depth of the trench excavation. Means we have to measure for the builder's work. Thus, it requires to be measured for excavation, where this one has to be referred to under section D.12.9 or section B in the drainage. So that one has to be double checked as well in the drawing. Okay, based on the size of the pipe, is if you remember, exceeding 55 mm diameter or not exceeding 55 mm diameter. Okay, so from this particular drawing, we can identify the item to be measured based on the layout plan together with the schematic drawing. So what you have to write first in your taking off list, we have to write down sanitation, wastewater system in the bracket externally. So you have to list down all the items to be measured externally. Then after that, we focus on internally. Let's say for the external, you can see here this one, the one that I highlighted. This is the type of the pipe that required to be laid in trench. Okay, so how you want to know the size of the pipe? You have to check the vertical schematic drawing. This one supposed to be main soil pipe. Okay, because from the section view or from the schematic drawing, all the pipe will go to the main pipe, that is soil pipe. And then number 2, you can see here, this is the dotted line. This is what we discussed last time. We can put detour, but this one you have to put underneath the apron slab. Okay, underneath the apron slab. So number 3 also detour underneath the apron slab, but this one, maybe the first one you put waste pipe. So number 3, soil pipe underneath the apron slab. Okay, number 4, don't forget the main pipe system. And then number 5, we have the fitting. So in our schematic drawing, we can see that they are gully trap outside the building. Okay, we have the gully trap that is normally installed outside the building. So if they are bent, that is pipe fitting. You have to check as well, pipe fitting. In this case, there is no branch. You can see there is only band. Okay, so pipe fitting, here we have the band. Remember, for the band, we have to write down two sizes. Okay, so what is the size here? What is the size here? In our measurement, you can see that the main pipe is 100 times 100. So you have to write down 100 times 100 PVC band, okay, as extra over, then measure in number. So for the internal installation, you have to check how the size of the pipe. What is the size of the pipe? We have 100, then we have 32 mm for the basin and for the kitchen sink. So this one, as what we discussed before, we have concealed in the brick wall, we have embedded in the floor slab, 100 mm saw pipe from the WC. That means this saw pipe from the WC is embedded in floor slab, EFS. Okay, then you have to check if they are bend or pipe fitting available to be installed. Okay, don't forget, number 4, here you have the saw stack or the main pipe, or we call this one as the main pipe, that is normally concealed in the brick wall. Then you also have the pipe known as the vent pipe, number 5, the vent pipe that is installed at the vent pipe that is installed at the ceiling area. So when you have the vent pipe installed at the ceiling area, don't forget also to include item number 7 here, the vent pipe. Externally, when you have to install beyond the roof level, in this case, the height from the roof level have been identified. So that is how you measure for the vent pipe. Okay, fixed at the roof area, or you can put here fixed at the roof tiles. Okay, so that is another item for the vent pipe. Detail of the item you have to check in the drawing. Okay, next one, where we have the pipe work, definitely you have to measure for the pipe fitting. For this pipe fitting, you can refer to Q.8.6 in the measurement, Q.8.6, where all this pipe fitting has to be measured under extra over. Okay, please take note that extra over should not be written in your heading, even though they are similar. So you can put extra over for band and extra over for any branch. This is the example for the upright Y branch available. Okay, you can also review the size and review the category of the pipe available as well in the references. For the reducing fitting, the nominal size for each end shall be stated. What does it mean? This is the example of the reducing fitting. The bigger that is become smaller. So what is the size here? 100 become 50, for example. For the branch fitting, whether they are square, angle, or the sweep, in terms of the shape and the design, all of this also must be clearly written in the description. Then only you can measure in number. Okay, remember the example of the description that I showed you before in the pipe work. If the pipe work required the support in your measurement for the pipe work, you have to put MS. Why? Because we have to measure the pipe work support in number, especially for the hanger. Okay, how you want to know how many numbers? You have to look at the length on plan. Then you have to refer to the specification on the center to center. Let's say in every 1 feet or in every 2 feet. 1 feet is about 300 300 mm. Then you can get the numbers of the hanger. Okay, so pipework support has to be measured separately. Number 4, after pipe fitting, pipework support, the pipework, we have to measure fitting. So normally, fitting that we have in our system, the gully trap, this is an example of the gully trap, and then the P trap, the S trap that is available underneath your sanitary fitting, that also required to be included. Okay, other than understanding that the pipe coming from the point of the sanitary fitting, please remember to measure the trap after the sanitary fitting in your measurement. That will be covered under fitting. Okay, Measure in number under Q.90.1. That means you have to measure based on the kind, the quality, the nominal size, the method of the fixing, and so on. Okay, this is one of the example gully trap. Even though the gully trap is big enough, you only have to measure in number. Okay. Okay. Let's go to another example. This is what I did mention under the fitting. We have the S trap. Can you see that? We have the P trap, horizontal outlet. Let's say all of these are not being given in the detail. We have to check the symbol available. Then you have to write down in the take it off list and measure in number. Okay, this is an example on the review for the trap that is available. The Q trap that is normally installed in toilet underwater closet, almost similar to S trap, and this is normally used in the upper story rather than the ground floor level. Okay, due to the flow and due to the specific reason. Okay. Now, don't forget, for any measurement for the building services, it is compulsory for every building services to be measured with the testing. Okay, there are few type of the testing available for the system itself. This is the example of the description. You may review what you have written previously in code the installation, but just change the word to the whole sanitation wastewater system. Make sure include the make good the defects and leave the whole installation as the satisfaction according to your project. If the project is government project, you have to use the word SO, Superintending Officer. But if let's say this is non-government project, we have to write down based on the architect satisfaction or sometimes engineer, either one. Okay, this is the review of the system that are available in the system itself, whether you want to use smoke test or the air test, where sometimes this one is not being given, so you have to write down upon completion allow for the testing and what kind of testing or the testing that is required as the specification. Then you can review this one, put in the query list, write down the type of the testing in the query list, then put in your taking off quantities. Okay, so before we end, you can first refer to the type of the pipe that I attached in the blackboard. There are two reference of the pipe available based on the material. You can see the jointing are there. A lot of material are there from the supplier we have in Malaysia. Then you can start preparing the taking off list, prepare the taking off quantities, and then in the lab section you have to convert everything to BQ. Okay, let's review before we end the item to be measured. Number one, make sure you identify properly the item to be measured for the pipe work. Okay, number two, once you have the pipe work, you must measure for the pipe fitting. Pipe work is under Q.8.1, measure in meter. Pipe fitting, you have to identify based on the layout and also from the section drawing. From the elevation drawing only you know whether they are bent or whether they are branched and so on. Measure in number as extra over. Number three, don't forget to measure the fitting. So this one can be gully trap, S trap, we have Q trap and a lot of trap available, water trap and so on. Then number four, we have to measure for testing. These four are the main item that you have to measure. Number five, I put star because not all scenario you have the pipework support. Okay, pipework support. And then remember, even though there are four main items to be measured, but for the pipe work, we have to measure separately if they are different location, okay, or they are different method of the installation. Then if they are different type, and if they are different material, and if they are different sizes. These four must always be in your mind when we talk about measurement for the pipework in any building services installation rules of measurement. Okay, then for the fitting that we have here, remember after sanitary fitting, you need to have one trap that required to be measured as well under this particular measurement. How you want to know that where the pipe system will stop according to the rule of the measurement, it must come from, let's say this is the basin, after the basin until to the nearest main hole. Okay, so the line is actually from here until this particular line. Okay, once it reached the main hole, that will be another element that you have to measure in building services. With that, thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum to my Muslim student, and you can start your measurement for sanitation wastewater system. Thank you everyone.